stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we beseech your divine guidance in this meeting. Keep us ever mindful of our obligation. Grant us, dear Lord, wisdom, tolerance, and courage that we may well serve our county and fulfill our trust. Amen.
Amen.
Morning, everyone.
Morning. Move to approve the minutes of December 12th.
Second.
Discussion? Roll.
Harrison?
Yes.
Oh, that was weird.
Sorry, Campbell.
Yes, that's right.
Sweated.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any public comment regarding any pending resolutions? Okay. We are going to move on to resolutions. We have County Engineer. We have Dan Becker here.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are the roads?
Okay.
They were awesome.
City of Brunswick was great.
We're all here. That's a good indication.
Okay, I have two resolutions for your consideration today. The first one is authorizing change order number 1 for the Medina County Thin Overlay Resurfacing Project. And the second is approving plan specifications and cost estimates for the 2024 new pavement marking project in various county roads.
Move to approve the two resolutions.
Second.
Discussion? Roll.
Campbell?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweated.
Yes. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Jeremy Cinco, our sanitary engineer.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Only one resolution today, authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the City of Medina to transfer the provision of water service along Granger and Weymouth roads.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll.
Campbell?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweated.
Yes.
Thanks.
Jeremy.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Denise Testa from Planning.
Good morning. I just have two resolutions. The first being authorizing the President of the Board of Commissioners to execute and sign a grant agreement for PY22 CHIP LAP grant. The second being appointing members and alternates to the Medina County Planning Commission.
Move to approve both resolutions.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that there was a misreport in the newspaper regarding the lead abatement program, the grants, and it said it was being awarded to the Medina County Transportation Improvement District. I wanted to make it clear as the commissioners and, of course, the planning department is overseeing
Right. We
that.
are
So
trying to rectify that, but it's taking a little longer.
yeah, okay, so, all right.
Roll.
Campbell?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweated. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Debbie Kiley from Job and Family Services.
Good morning. Just 4 resolutions for your consideration this morning. The first is authorizing the county auditor to transfer funds from the JFS Children's Services SCPA Fund to the JFS Public Assistance Fund. The next is authorizing the county auditor to transfer funds from the JFS Children's Services 4E Fund to the Public Assistance Fund. The next is a resolution to assign authority to the Director of Job and Family Services to serve as the board's designee with authority to request and sign inter-county adjustment agreements on behalf of the county. A mouthful. And the last one, just authorizing an MOU between Job and Family Services and our community partners to address child abuse and neglect.
Move to approve the 4 resolutions.
Second.
Discussion? Roll.
Campbell?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweated.
Yes.
Thank
so much,
you.
Debbie.
Thank you.
Next up, we have, oh, no, we do not. We have Nicole Lee, our HR from Human Resources. I didn't know
Good
your
morning.
official title, so I
No, you're fine.
stumbled there.
You're fine. I have 9 resolutions for you this morning. The first one is approving personnel changes for employees. We have 2 new hires, 1 at County Home, 1 at Sanitary, 1 start date correction at JFS, 4 rate increases, 1 at Solid Waste, 2 in Maintenance, 1 at County Home, 1 rate correction at JFS, 2 fund changes at the Office for Older Adults and Transit, 2 transfers between agencies, 1 from Solid Waste to Highway, 1 from Highway to the Office for Older Adults, 4 leave of absence, 2 at JFS, 2 at Sanitary, 1 paid administrative leave in IT, 1 return from absence at JFS, 1 resignation at County Home. And then resolutions 2 through 9 are approving wage increases for all employees who fall under the collective bargaining agreement under the Medina County Commissioners. Those departments are Child Support Enforcement Agency, the Sanitary Engineers Treatment Plants, Sanitary Engineers Lab Technicians, Sanitary Engineers Water Distribution Workers, Sanitary Engineers Line Maintenance, employees under Job and Family Services, the Maintenance Department Maintenance Repair Workers, and the Medina County Public Transit Drivers.
Move to approve the 9 resolutions.
Discussion? Roll.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Thank you,
Thank
Nicole.
you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Brett Thomas, our Finance Director.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have 13 resolutions for you today, but we're going to do 12 of them in this block. The 13th will be saved for the end. Our first resolution is increases of appropriations. For the most part, all of these are to correct just where we had a little bit of budget drift. Our second resolution is transfers of appropriations. Again, almost all of these are just to correct budget drift and kind of get things shifted around to where they need to go. Most of these transfers come from the Sheriff's Department. Our third resolution is expenditure adjustments. A little bit of this is to correct budget drift. Some of this is just our end-of-year accounting. We have Board of Elections that received a little bit of extra funding. The sheriff got McPal money, and now we can move some of the salaries over to that grant. We have a couple things for OOA, having received our HEAP and MIPA grant and fringe benefits to move, moving over salary and fringe benefits over to those grants, and then the web check fund as well to bring that expense over out of the sheriff's general line items. Our fourth resolution is a cash transfer reversal. This one is a little bit of an oops from us, sorry. In the correction of handling an old grant from the Victim Assistance Fiscal Year 20 Fund, we had to go through and do a couple changes to that correction. Our fifth resolution is cash transfers for various funds. Many of the ones that you'll see on the first page here are all for kind of balancing out our cash towards heading into next year. So this list is a little longer than normal. The big ones on there, we've got $2 million for reserves and $1 million going into capital improvements, and the rest of the funds are for operating funds. Our sixth resolution is moving cash transfer to for the county home levy, bringing money back into the general fund. Our seventh resolution is the transfer of funds to reimburse the IT department for its expenses over the course of the year. Our eighth resolution is the agreements with various veterinarians for spay and neuter services for dogs from the animal shelter. Our ninth resolution is declaring the interested vendors for gasoline bids for 2024. 10th resolution is certifying the Community Improvement Board's acceptance of our sales tax payouts to the 11 school districts that are listed. We're expecting approximately $18 million in sales tax revenue. That's a conservative estimate just to be safe. Our 11th resolution, back to kind of normal stuff, is expenses for the county engineer for a conference in Columbus. And our 12th resolution is our weekly bills in the amount of $5,241,620.06. That amount's a little bit heavy this time because we have our bill for the water.
All right, I move to approve the 12 resolutions.
Second.
Only discussion I have is drift is a new word for me in finance. Hadn't heard that one before. Roll.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Thank you.
It's my favorite term for when things are just kind of
Did you want to do
Is that
this?
from Fast and Furious?
Did you
I'm
want to
just
do 13
trying-
or is someone else doing 13?
I'll do 13 at the end.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Next up, we have Chris Jacob, our county administrator.
Inspired by the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, inspired by the drift.
Morning.
First resolution this morning amends or approves an amendment to a sub-grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. This is for Family First Council admin and program expenses for fiscal years 2024 and 2025. Amount of $68,370 for each of those fiscal years. Excuse me. Next resolution is a revenue adjustment for the bond retirement fund. This is debiting the miscellaneous building renovation fund and crediting the bond retirement fund for those dollars. Next resolution authorizes the advertisement for bids for the Medina County Veteran Services Office Building addition and renovation construction project. The architect is now wrapping up the drawings and design documents for us to move forward with the bid process for this long-awaited project. We hope to go out to bid at the beginning of January, advertise at the beginning of January. Estimated cost of the project is approximately $1.3 million. The board had previously allocated available ARPA dollars to pay for this project. Next resolution is being tabled. Next resolution after that authorizes the acceptance of the Medina County gas aggregation contract with Constellation Energy, and this is for natural gas supply.
I pulled the one that was tabled.
Okay. Rhonda had previously pulled it, so that was a EMA project that was pulled.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, all right. Going back, authorizing the acceptance of the Medina County gas aggregation contract with Constellation Energy, and this is for natural gas supply. This is for the program period beginning April 1, 2024. Fixed rate with Columbia Gas is 5.26 per 1,000 cubic feet. And the rate with Dominion is 3.68. These are significant decreases from the current contracted rate structure. Good? Okay, yep.
And next resolution, final resolution for me this morning, authorizes the commissioners to enter into an amended special project grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Development. The Ohio Department of Development had previously provided $100,000 grant allocation for the planning of the emergency housing shelter for through Metro Housing. This extends the deadline for use of those funds from June 30th, 2023 to January 31st of 2024.
Move to approve the 5 resolutions.
Discussion?
Yeah, just a quick question
Sure.
Regarding Veteran Services Office. Maybe it does not specifically deal with this. As I understand it, they're, for that construction, they're going to have to move out?
Temporarily, yeah, for at least a period of time. They'll be
come over
without
and-
power, and there'll be some construction interference in their operations. So we had taken a look at space available in the lower level of the professional building for them, the old planning department offices.
Right.
Where in that back entry there was a ramp for disabled and handicapped accessibility. So it would be most convenient for many of their clients.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, as to where they were going to be moving and make sure it's accessible. So,
It is.
Okay, good.
It is.
Good. And how long would they have to end up staying?
We're guessing several months.
Okay, all right.
But Ed is amenable to the transition.
Well, I'm sure we'll do the best we can to advertise everybody, so
Yeah,
it'll
yeah,
be relocated
yeah.
temporarily.
And I'm not sure what that time frame is yet until we go out to bid.
Sure.
So,
Okay,
okay.
that's it. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Shannon Ryan, our Transit Director.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just one resolution for your consideration before I get into the departmental update. Approval of the 24 transit agreements with our various county agencies and organizations.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Thank you. Just to start out with our November update, Medina continue to be strong. Our ridership, based on the average for the year, we are doing very well. But November, 1,272 trips with our Medina service our flex routes. So just really getting a lot of positive feedback from Medina. I think it's been different than Wadsworth. We've continued to learn. Reduction in miles, reduction in fuel. I keep saying that, but that even though gas is down, we're still saving fuel dollars, which is nice. I think we're well prepared to go into Brunswick in January. Commissioner Hamley joined me for a city council meeting in Brunswick with one of our largest cities that in the county that really is all behind this. We shared the results we had in Wadsworth and Medina, so they were happy to get on board. I am speaking today to a large group, senior citizen group up there today at 2 o'clock today. So I'm continuing to gain feedback, and communication and education is key to all of it. But the project for the year has been, we're happy to have the results we've seen. So
3 times as many passenger trips in Medina in November 23 from November 22?
Yeah. We're really getting a lot of productivity out of our routes, and our drivers like. Yes?
So I guess when you look at the numbers, certainly we have a decrease in the demand service. My presumption is a lot of those that were previously in demand are now, of course, using the flex. So how much more are we getting beyond that, just basically, you're swapping from one service to the other? If you understand my question.
Absolutely. We've seen benefit from that. This is the largest reduction in demand service ridership, but I will tell you the demand ridership is usually down in cold weather.
Oh, okay, all right.
And many times through the November, doctor's appointment gets pushed out to the first of the year and that sort of thing from our outskirts. So I believe there is some benefit. We are transitioning people from the demand service to the flex route. I would say a good half of that in Medina. And Wadsworth, it wasn't as many, but that is the huge benefit. And that lends into our reduction in trip denials, which is the highlight of the whole report, to go from 101 in September of this year to 6. That really does a lot. I mean, that's 6 too many, but I will say that all day long, but I will say that that's definitely increased our capacity and allowed us to provide service to everyone that really needs it. So yeah, the transition has happened, but increased our capacity as well.
Yeah, I guess it's just trying in my mind to track. We are apparently getting new customers, getting new riders we never had before because of this.
I can tell you that that's happening.
Quantify it.
Absolutely. Yeah, new customers are hearing about us. The app is helping. The Easy Fare app, we're increasing because that's linked with the app itself. We had 95 transactions. That's the highest I've seen for Easy Fare, so our electronic fare app is working as well.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Richard Nelson from our building department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
For November, our value of construction ended up being, on the residential side, quite good. It was a pretty big month for residential in November. Commercial still down, running down. Average new home cost slipped down to $398,000. It was just over $400 last month, I believe. But again, November was pretty good for new home starts. 32 new home starts was the highest in 5 years. Just by a couple, but still. The highest in 5 years is pretty amazing. For November, that is. So second page, monthly receipts, because of the pretty strong residential, our monthly receipts are actually up 22% compared to last November. Page 3, the year-to-date receipts are still down 17%. And moving on, page 4, residential permits issued by townships and villages. Page 5, commercial permits issued in November. Quite a good number of them, 17, but and page 6, again's the list of commercial projects issued in November. Quite a few. Overall, our review times still remain good. 3 days for residential approximately, and about 21 days on the commercial side. So we're plugging away. I do want to remind everybody that this report is put on our website later today for anybody to view. And essentially, that's all I have.
I guess, what a comment for the general public, since they don't see this, is we've got obviously a lot of redwood construction going on. Those do not count as residential. Those are counted as commercial. So when you see that, and we see the numbers going up residential, it doesn't account for the redwood. So,
yeah, when they're a 1, 2, or 3 unit building, which they do have some, those do fall into the residential side of things.
Right.
4 units and over move up to the commercial.
Right.
Even though it's still used as a residence, it's a commercial project.
So is the average square footage then going down for our residential units, kind of ignoring the redwood?
No.
No one's saying about the same in terms of square footage typical for
same or going up.
Going up, really? Yeah, okay. Maybe that's why we're getting all those storage units built too for people. Okay.
No, the homes are still quite large.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good because the prices keep going up.
Well, yeah. Yeah. That it?
All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks.
Next up, we have Ben Now, our acting EMA director.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
So some of this is going to be for the whole year, since I know we haven't been here for a while. Some of it's just the past quarter. So the first page talks about the grants that EMA has received this past year. So the first one is Emergency Management Performance Grant. That pays us 50 cents on the dollar for basically EMA staff payroll just to do our job. So that's $108,874. The Local Emergency Planning Committee, $29,130. That actually goes to the LEPC. It's a separate program by statute, but by most counties, EMA does the work for the LEPC by contract. So that pays us to do things like the hazmat plan, the annual exercise, the spill reporting. We go out to a spill, do that compliance side of it when something happens, and then the annual Tier 2 filings from all the hazmat facilities. So that's about 150 facilities in the county that have to report annually. The Homeland Security grant this year was $225,785. Part of that was for a radio repeater for national interoperability. We've received that already. The other one was a radio tower project. The grant was written for a tower to go at Heather Hedge for the amateur radio communications. I just met with the sheriff last week, so that might change a little bit because he's talking about building that Seville tower. I think you're aware of. So we might be able to partner up and do that together, use our money, his money together and build a tower. So we'll see what happens, what we're able to change on the grant for that, but that's in the works. The Hazardous Materials Emergency Planning Grant, it's $126,410. By far the largest award we've ever received. It's actually about double the next largest county in the state this year. So that includes 7 training classes for hazardous materials that it's mainly fire department, the hazmat team will attend. And then one of the exciting things on there, we're required in the hazmat plan to do a hazardous materials flow study in the county. So determine what truck traffic, what train traffic goes through the county with hazardous materials. That's part of the planning process we're required to do. So in the past, that's always been, one of us literally sits on the side of the road and you watch the trucks go by, look at the placard, write them down. So we just came up with this kind of wild idea to, there's got to be a way to do that electronically. But nobody really made anything back when we applied for the grant. We found a company that was willing to do one for about $86,000. So we just threw the grant in for it to build a trailer that would automatically record those placards. Well, they kind of took our idea, ran with it, so now they've come up with one at half the cost. So basically it's going to be a little trailer, kind of like the sheriff's department speed sign trailer. They'll have cameras on it and just be parked around the county, automatically records the hazardous materials that go by. To really get a good picture, sit out there for a whole week of what's going by each location versus just one of us sitting out there for like 8 hours, trying to.
But this wouldn't go on the interstates or like US 224, or would they?
They could go anywhere. We'll work with different places we can park it.
Okay.
Yeah, it could go anywhere. So we'll be looking for, government-owned property that we could park it on.
Okay, got it.
Fire stations, police stations, that type of thing. Maybe like the weight station or something. They might let us park it there.
So recording anything other than those placards?
No, just the hazmat placards. That's all it records.
It's not the license plate?
No.
Okay.
No. So this company makes that same technology, but this trailer is specific to hazmat placards. So it'll just give us a list of, the hazmat placards all have a 4-digit number on them of what the hazardous materials is. So we'll be able to run reports on what hazardous materials.
So is the idea is to look for its flow based upon local use, or just happens to be incidental transporting through Medina County?
Mainly the transport through Medina County. We know kind of what's used in the county just because all the facilities are report.
Got it.
But especially, 71's a big one, obviously. We have no idea what's going down 71 every day. Or 76, yeah.
Okay.
And the railroads. I mean, that's another, we don't have a good picture of what goes down the railroads, but if you park a trailer next to the railroad, record the placards, now you know what's on the trains.
Don't they?
They
don't
do.
They have to register? I would.
So that's. I know the laws are looking at being changed on that. After East Palestine.
Okay.
So there's a threshold they have to meet.
Right.
To report it, and it's only an annual report. So we get an annual report from CSX that says this is the average that we have in the week, and it's only that they meet those thresholds. So it's.
Got it.
There's basically they report 1 to 2 trains a week that have hazardous materials. We know there's more than that. They just don't meet the threshold. So.
Got it. Okay. All right.
The BRIC grant, that's for the mitigation plan. That's just to do some updates for the mitigation plan this year. It's $27,411. The Hillier Foundation gave us $100,000 to start up the dive team. So that's a component of the water rescue team, which falls under the all hazards team. So that equipment's been ordered. Timken Steel gave us $40,000 to go towards the new building project, and we got $15,000 from Brunswick for the navigation system on the remotely operated vehicle. Basically, it's like an underwater drone. We purchased that drone on a Homeland Security grant for about $40,000, and then we got an additional $15,000 from them to add the navigation system on. So the current projects that we're working on, the Eclipse is one of the big ones. We just had another meeting with the state last week, and the big question is how many people are coming and where are they going to be. There was an estimate that came out, I think you guys have all seen that double population thing that they came out with. They're kind of backpedaling on that a little bit now.
They realize what April weather's like?
Yeah, so...
As opposed to August, which is what they were basing it on? Okay,
yeah. So that was just, they said everybody that was within the totality, not on the center line, was double population. They didn't factor anything else into it either.
Oh, okay.
It was just double population. And everybody kind of ran with that number, hey, the population is going to double. So we did do a little bit we're still doing some research on our own. We found Jefferson County, Missouri is very similar to Medina County. Were in totality for the 2017 eclipse. Population 220,000. They have one interstate. It was nice weather that day. So kind of similar to Medina County. So we talked to their EMA, and basically they said it was just a big rush hour that day. So we're gonna have another call with them later this week to try to get some more information and try to kind of narrow down what we should expect specifically here versus just this blanket double population number. But like I said, the state's still working on that. They admitted they don't know how many people.
And the city of Medina is still kind of coordinating because they're one of the designated under the Great Lakes Science Center.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of events. It's going to be a good weekend. So most of those events, almost all of them that Medina is doing is on the weekend. It's a Saturday and Sunday thing. So it's going to be a lot of good events for the community to attend.
Sure.
It's just what's that influx going to look like on Monday then for the eclipse is kind of the big unknown.
Right, yeah.
Like I said, the HME funded activities we're working on, the county mitigation plan, that'll be a summer project for us really to get that updated. The building project, we're getting pretty close here, so thank you for your support on that. We're excited we finally got the 5 bids back, so looks like we'll finally be able to move forward on that. The emergency operations plan, that's kind of in its final stages of being updated. The state's reviewed that already. We have a few other minor modifications to make before that goes out to all the stakeholders here soon. The rescue task force training, this is going to be a topic for the board meeting tomorrow, but the police and fire chiefs have been working for about 2 years now on what an active shooter response looks like in Medina County. The rescue task force is part of that. So jointly, the police and fire chiefs have come up with a training plan. So we have a proposal tomorrow for the board meeting how to get that up and rolling here from Medina County. We have some leftover training funds from a previous conference that we're able to use to get that started. I've been making a point to meet with a lot of the stakeholders. I think there's been kind of a lack of communication lately, so just how EMA can support these different agencies. It's kind of been a focus the last couple of weeks. The all-hazard medical support program, Chuck's kind of leading this one, just what that medical support looks like for the dive team and the hazmat team to have some specially trained EMS providers, kind of more familiar with those disciplines than just calling a local department. The pre-planning, the Hinkley Lake mud rescue, that's kind of been an interesting challenge for the all-hazards team. It's something different we've never dealt with. But that silt in Hinkley Lake's a large, big engulfment hazard. It's almost like quicksand. So what does that look like to get out there and rescue somebody that might go out there looking for stuff and then becomes entrapped in the silt? So we've had one training actually out there. We've made a drone map of the area, and we have additional trainings, just what that rescue looks like. Chuck is chairing the water rescue training committee for the state water TAC. So we do the state's water rescue curriculum. The Storm Ready community renewal has been submitted to the National Weather Service. That's something we have to submit every few years just to maintain our Storm Ready designation. The IPAWS WIA alerting capabilities, we're continuing to build on that. That's what sends out, we get an Amber Alert on your phone, the wireless emergency alert, or it's up on TV, radio. So we have the ability as EMA to send those out, so we're just building on those capabilities. We still have 2 volunteer programs, CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team, and the Comms Unit that fall under EMA. So we have about 40 volunteers between those two. We continue to train with and work with. And we're working on auctioning all the excess COVID PPE that we've had at the station. We have 25 pallets you guys are aware of that are still sitting there. It's leftover stuff that really nobody wanted. It was non-medical stuff mainly. So that stuff's been going on Gov Deals. I'm trying to move it on. Next page is just a list of the incidents for the past 3 months. There's actually one more fire investigation early this morning, so we've had 9 fire investigations now in the past 3 months, which is high. You see most of them are actually in Brunswick. 1 hazmat, 1 water, and 1 structural collapse. So the year-to-date total incidents is 45 now. And the next page is a list of all the trainings that we've sponsored through for the past 3 months. Some of it's the normally scheduled all-hazard training. We did host a special event evacuation class on November 28th and 29th. So that was mainly built around the fair. One of our big things we wanted to work on this year is what does an evacuation of the fairgrounds look like, especially with all the hazardous materials that's west of there. So we brought 2 instructors came in, one from Michigan, one from Florida. It was a free grant-funded class. We had a lot of the fair security committee sit there, so that'll be a project, just what that looks like. How could we evacuate the fairgrounds? And then I also went to the Winter EMA Directors Conference and the Solon Hazmat Conference. And it was interesting, really, because the chief from East Palestine gave a presentation at the Solon one, and the EMA director gave a presentation at the EMA conference. So kind of heard both sides of it. So there's a lot of good takeaways from that and what they had to deal with for that train derailment. So any questions?
Thank you so much, Bud.
Very good, thank you. Good job.
See you
Good
tomorrow.
job.
Okay, Brett, are we doing that resolution now, or at what point are we doing your final resolution?
You want it now, Ron?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
All right, everybody, the moment we've been waiting for. The 13th and final resolution. Adoption of the 2024 temporary annual appropriation measure. This is our budget that will lead us into the new year. However, it is not our final budget. We have based this off of approximately 3 months worth of expenses based on the needs that we've generated over 2023, as well as made adjustments where necessary as Some expenses kind of have to hit in the beginning of the year. There's not much we can do about that. We've solicited all departments and generated this off of the best knowledge that we could. There's an approximately 36-page attachment to this that includes every single line item fund that we have. So with that, we intend to go through and do our budget hearings in the middle of January so that we can, once we have all of our final year expenses and our the state of where each of our grants sits, and we will finalize a permanent budget somewhere around the end of February. Hopefully, that's my assumption that we will be ready for that around that time.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Super.
Okay, next up, we have some commissioner resolutions. We have a resolution designating the official representatives and alternate for the purpose of voting at the annual meeting of the County Commissioners Association of Ohio. And we are designating Commissioner Steve Hanley and Aaron Harrison as the alternate.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Next up, we have a resolution amending the Medina County Drug Advisory Committee grant guidelines.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. And last, we have a resolution appointing representatives and alternates to the Northeast Ohio Area Coordinating Agency for 2024. Commissioners are Aaron Harrison with alternate Steve Hamley, engineer Andy Conrad, alternate Josh Wolf, township Jeff Brandon, alternate Adam Frederick, municipalities Patrick Patton, alternate Paul Makovic.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion?
I just wanted to note, there may be some further revisions to this, but we thought it made sense to get this on resolution for year-end. And if we have some changes to make after the first of the year.
Sure, we can always adjust it.
Anyway, mostly be in the nature of alternates. So
Right.
but this makes sense to go ahead and move forward with this.
All right.
Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Okay, do we have any public comment regarding anything? Anybody?
Oh, it's not?
Okay, Steve, do you have anything?
Yeah, Dave, did you want to come up? And I wanted to start the conversation, but the two of you know several here. For residential broadband services, there's a grant application being sought by 3 providers, Cox, Frontier, and Spectrum. They had indicated us they would like letters of support. This is for state funding through Broadband Ohio. They were looking our support as well as some local government support. And as the other two know, we met with them. We had 3 quickly within the last week met as we could. Dave was involved with at least one of them. Bethany was able to attend all 3. Matt Springer, also representing the Board of Commissioners, was involved with those discussions as well. They have outlined for us where they're proposing on extending and broadband expansion. I want to note this is a state grant program. All 3 actually were proposing in areas not only that will be in the future served or currently being served by lit communities in a partnership with LMRE, but actually areas where prior year lit communities and therefore Medina Fiber did not receive funding, even though they requested it. The state gave them 0 points for unserved area, even though their map said that they were very clearly that these people were not being served by broadband. So it's an area where the county has actually been, or the lit communities and through our public-private partnership has been denied funding. But now you have 3 corporate entities now actually trying to get state money for providing these services in that area. But it's not the entire area of, let's say, Litchfield. Only they were, could I characterize as cherry picking? I guess you can kind of describe, and Dave's been following this essentially. So we've met with them, we've advised them of our project, of what our maps, what our documents show, and where service is going to be provided. And they're yet to hear back from them what their new proposals will be. So, Dave, you want to go ahead?
So part of our goal is not just broadband expansion, but it's also to make sure that when these projects come up through the state or the federal government, that we guide other carriers not to duplicate or overbuild, because then that is a waste of taxpayer dollars. For this one, for the Ohio Residential Broadband Expansion Grant called ORBEG, it would be a waste of state dollars for these commercial carriers who are looking to expand in areas that are unserved, but if we're already there with one of our partners, then we want to guide them. And that's what we've been doing for Spectrum Frontier and Cox Communications. We're providing our maps to them, and then we also have the opportunity for our partner, Lit Communities, who has already built in these areas, albeit with their own money, because previous grants denied them. We will then provide those maps, and we will overlay them with the other carriers looking for this grant money. So our goal and responsibility as part of Medina County goes a little bit further for helping other areas make sure that state money is used appropriately. And that's what we're doing right now. So then Lit Communities will have the ability to produce a map and a letter to the state of Ohio once all this is in finality, which is coming up soon. It's due January 4th, I believe, to state that here is what we have built, here are the homes that are already connected, and here's what's scheduled for 2024. So we believe that's probably what's going to happen. I've already talked with Lit Communities yesterday about the situation, so they're aware of it.
Okay, so and the way as when we sent out the letter to the townships to let them know, we'd asked them to take into consideration, make sure that they didn't inadvertently, everybody wants to get broadband to their residents, there's no doubt. Inadvertently, they might send a letter in support and get like 10 points, I think. For every grant application can get points and scored, and a local, as I understood, not only would the 10 points, I think, for the local township, I think commissioners were worth 30, which glad to hear, and then Economic Development Corporation was worth 20 or 15, I think. So, but inadvertently, we didn't want to see a local government actually who's a partner with us in these projects also supporting something that's actually going to either overbuild, duplicate, in some way, I would think, be kind of I'll say deleterious and prejudicial to our project that we're already building. And I think, but as I understand the regulations or the requirements, the Broadband Ohio, they can challenge it not only if they are currently providing service, but if they plan to provide service within the next 2 years. Correct?
That's correct.
So there's our areas that currently are not under our current project list, that we didn't devote the 11 million ARPA dollars or have anything planned. Lit Communities still could come in and challenge that should they decide to go. I think there's a small area of Lafayette Township.
There is, and just a little northwest of Lodi. So about 90% of all the proposed maps for the ORBEGs from the other carriers are already covered in construction at this time.
Okay.
The areas in Lafayette and just northwest of Lodi are the ones that are scheduled but not under construction for the ARPA right now, but it will be within the next 24 months.
So basically they would have standing to be able to challenge it.
Correct.
Okay, got it. And
they in that sense being
Lit Communities.
Lit Communities.
Because, but my thought would be if there is solely private investment to come, it should be focused on those areas that there aren't any imminent plans or any imminent development.
That's correct.
So we don't know that Lit would object to that. They would just have the ability and standing to do so, provided they were going to commit to doing it in the next to building out in the next 2 years. Is that the standard?
Yeah, I think, and Dave was there when I made all three providers for consistency indicated to them if they're going to provide and seek state funding for areas that there are no current plans, we certainly would entertain the thought of being able to support it, because we want every household in Medina County to have broadband.
Correct.
And that's what we've tried to do in their joint partnership with Lorraine Medina Rural Electric. Every household will get fiber. All three of those providers, none of them provided in their entirety to those jurisdictions, like the LMRE project. And I think that's one of the things we've stood for is we're going to make sure that everybody has broadband,
And
not just cherry pick, not just small areas.
a significant amount of our ARPA money towards this
Correct.
project because we felt it was so important.
And I think that's the distinction between us and the entities that are looking for a return on investment. We know that this is their corporations and this is what they do and they're going to go for a grant, but they're just going to pick the ones where they have enough density to be able to pay for that extension and not consider anybody else that's not within that territory.
Right, and the maps from the other 3 commercial carriers we saw are high-density areas in unserved locations. So it would not be, say, all of Homer, or it would not be all of Litchfield. Whereas with our ARPA project and the private funds we brought in, we are building all 5,500 homes in that area, whether it's high density or not. So
yeah, every one of those that had Litchfield was only half of Litchfield.
Correct. Yeah, it was just along north and south of 18 so far west of York, and that was it.
Yeah.
So let me ask. This is a clarifying question that's a little bit off topic, but while we have you here,
sure.
Famous last words, right? While we have you here. There were some projects where I live in Montville, and then also I think in other parts of Montville, pockets of Montville, in the last spring, kind of, I wouldn't say simultaneous, but in very quick succession with the lit build out, or the Medina fiber build out, I guess. Those, it's safe to say that those, when the utility companies were bringing them through, the Armstrongs and I think other ones that were doing that, those likely weren't done with the state funds?
That's correct. Okay. And that's, you bring up an interesting, what happens in Montville, or happened in Montville, is what we're trying not to do. So there was no fiber residentially in Montville. We announced we would be building with our partner Lit Fiber. And then as soon as we did that, Armstrong announced, after all those years, to build there. And then Frontier came in and built there. So now there's 3 fiber providers where money could have been used by any of those carriers that were not building previously to build other areas that didn't have fiber. And that's what we're trying to do. As Commissioner Hambley mentioned, if our partner, Lit Fiber, is not going to be able to get to certain homes, we will support other carriers to get to those homes. That is the goal and responsibility of the county and the Port Authority in this project. And I talk with other carriers all the time, and we keep our plans open to them as much as we can. But we're trying to keep this overbuilding from occurring, which is what telecom has done over the years, and that's sort of what's put our infrastructure behind compared to other countries.
Yeah, well, and it was very clear as a resident in one of the Armstrong areas that the competition was driving Armstrong's push to get that in.
That's correct.
And then when they're racing against the clock or competitive forces, and we heard, I think as a board, we heard from some of the communities and subdivisions that weren't happy with the way, the condition of how things were left when they.
Oh yeah, well it was a battlefield with 3 different companies coming through. One company that had finished didn't even have the chance to restore the right-of-way, the tree lawn or the lawn, because the next company was tearing it up already. Right. Yeah, that is definitely what we want to try to.
And it is frustrating for the homeowners and the residents who've only wanted superior service for the last. I've been here 20 years, and that's we would have been bent over backwards for that 10 years ago. So.
It shows the nature of the competition within the industry.
Yep.
There's no doubt. We know ultimately within the next decade, probably everybody will have fiber. Pretty much. Maybe Brunswick, where I'm at, will actually have fiber too. And actually, that's the frustration when you talk about.
We're working on it.
Yeah. Great, you got choices. I still don't have choices.
Hinkley doesn't have choices.
I think there's going to be Amish people with fiber before I get it up in my part of Brunswick, and I'm on a main thoroughfare. So there's somewhat of a frustration with that. It's uneven, it's inconsistent, and I think in some ways there's. I'll just say just a lack of really oversight, strong oversight by the state when it comes to the regulation of public utilities and the polls. We know that the issues that we encountered, and I could say publicly, that whenever our delay over into Litchfield was caused by one of those for-profit energy companies. And they had the same problem down in other parts. AEP was also causing problems for Spectrum and others because they were not receiving any compensation, any money, and it was always the lowest on their engineering department's list of things to do. they didn't have to cooperate. And so you had some circumstances where internet service providers were go ahead and just attaching poles and just going down and doing it, and others were waiting due process, but unfortunately delayed by months of stalling. So it's inconsistent in terms of the application of the law and pole attachment rights, and unfortunately has created inconsistency out in the fields, and those many of those large-scale providers have been utilizing that inconsistency to a competitive advantage.
And I think the key here, and what I appreciate your efforts in kind of helping to ensure here, is that degree of coordination that's been missing, where we're not duplicating efforts, certainly at least not before all the areas that need to be served are served. And
Agreed.
so the investment that's being made kind of across the county, I don't think that happens without the private-public partnership. But I also think that needs to be given the opportunity to take root before it meets competition that's funded by state funds that just generally aren't available to our efforts. So I appreciate you kind of keeping this at the forefront so we can have that coordination that's been missing.
Good. Thanks, Dave.
Thank
All right,
Appreciate
thank you.
Steve,
That's all I had.
Eric?
I just wanted to make a note. We had a busy agenda today, but I think this is going to be our last meeting of the year, so I wanted to just acknowledge the efforts of all the different department heads and
Yes.
Everybody who pulled together to get those things in front of us today. I know it wasn't an easy meeting to have because of having more business items to take care of, but I think it's worth acknowledging. So thanks to everybody for that. Hope everybody has a great end of the year holiday and Happy New Year. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Did Chris have anything? Do we know?
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Leslie, you're here. Did you want to talk about Chippewa Lake? As I understand from a social post, the ODNR has removed the wake restrictions language in that administrative rule.
Sure, I can.
Would you please?
That'd be
Yeah,
great.
I know we've had great interest, I think, the last time you were
Nate was
here.
supposed to be here, wasn't he?
Yeah, I thought so, yeah. And I know I'd followed your social post on that. Maybe you can first.
Hi, I'm Leslie Burns. I'm from Chippewa Lake. So the Park District did put together a stakeholder group, and we were very hopeful that it was not going to be something they were progressing with quickly. They were going to take their time. However, they have planned a meeting. The stakeholder group is a representative from the yacht club, the ski team, Chippewa Lake, Gloria Glens, and the area between Chippewa Lake and Gloria Glens, and then a commissioner and a
park commissioner.
a park district commissioner and a park district police officer.
Good, okay.
They decided to have a meeting today. And there were 2 of the 5 stakeholder groups that weren't able to come today. And the response from the Park District Commissioner was, well, then we will take notes for you. So it didn't really seem like they were cooperating. I hope that we're wrong about that. And one of the people said, can we just postpone this till after the holidays? And we were told no. So we're not sure what's going on. We're we're trying to be hopeful. But it still seems as though they may be trying to put something through. And I was given some photos by a photographer that takes photos around the lake, and I have them with me. But anyway, it was a very, very large boat, literally a boat that should not be on Chippewa Lake. So I'm going to share those with the Park District Commissioner.
Okay. All right.
It was a boat that should be on Lake Erie. I'm not sure how they can delineate the different types of boats because it's not a long boat, it's just a large boat. So maybe no cabin cruisers. I'm not sure how they can do that. But she said in her message to me that this boat was very disruptive. It was just driving all over the lake. And so anyway, that's where we are. We're actually not sure where we are. I'm trying to be positive on social, trying to be optimistic, think that they,
But they delayed the rules?
They have, they did.
And then they're right now, they're trying to do the stakeholder group.
Exactly. They're trying to do the stakeholder group, but I think in my information is that they still plan to put some kind of wake restrictive language through. We're just not sure yet.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well,
And Rhonda, we didn't hear from Nate about, because he was supposed to come today, correct?
Didn't hear from him.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thanks
Yes.
for keeping us informed.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Leslie.
Thank you. Matt, do we know if Chris had anything?
Could we bring something else up right now?
Right.
For him to walk in again.
You're on.
You're on. It's all up to you.
Sorry. I just wanted to mention I had invited the coroner to come today.
Yes.
This is another invitation extended to talk about the morgue project at Medina Hospital. I was expecting her to be here. She is not. We need to make a decision about whether we move forward with that project. I was hoping that her discussion today would be helpful in your deliberations. As you know, the clinic is looking for additional dollars from the county to pay for that project.
Yep, a lot more money than we originally anticipated.
Correct. Correct. I did communicate with the clinic yesterday and mentioned that we would have some discussion today regarding it, and I would get back to him shortly thereafter. So I don't know how you wish to proceed.
So you've emailed, I saw the emails.
Emailed,
Called.
texted, went down,
And no response?
emailed again.
Okay.
She
So
responded.
It's not a priority then, obviously.
She had been out of the country, I guess, for an extended period. So on vacation. So.
Is there an acting coroner when she's not here?
Not that I'm aware of, but.
Oh, okay.
We have 160 that we've allocated.
169.
But they're asking for.
An additional 130 to 145,000.
Yeah, that's.
That's a lot.
If we take no action, what does that mean?
The existing morgue facility would stay intact at the hospital, and the project would be shelved.
It's their project, isn't it, or is it ours?
It's at our behest, so.
Okay, but we've got an agreement with them based upon.
We entered into a license
entered
agreement
into that
with them. It needs to be
So
revised.
if literally we do nothing, the ball's in their court as to whether they, and as I understood, it's their requirement that they want to move the compressors up on the roof rather than on top of the freezers. Is that?
Yeah, there's a rooftop
Which is their
ventilation
decision.
system, which based on construction review, I think indicates that would be a necessary way to ventilate, but.
They didn't know that to begin with?
Well, it's just
Seemingly not.
seriously, percentage-wise, way more than we were
Oh, yeah.
initially.
All right, I know.
Well, I suppose if the project doesn't move forward, then our current arrangement with the clinic could change in terms of storage facilities that we utilize there, and that they could charge us for.
Potentially.
We don't have that. There's no
Or they could,
arrangement like that now.
through their foundation, could find the additional money. I'm talking with some of the people who've been involved, that they have the money, so at this point, I say, we've got an agreement, we're sticking to it.
You're saying stay with
Stay with what we've
already been
got, take no
authorized.
action,
Right,
and let
right.
them decide how they want to proceed.
Was that ARPA or revenue replacement that was designated?
It's revenue replacement from the ARPA allocation.
So then, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine with, I think the ask is too big.
Yeah.
I can communicate that to the clinic later today, if you wish.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
If they were to say the whole plan is scrapped as a result of that, are we up against any deadlines to reallocate those funds? Because I don't want to.
You would have to obligate those funds by the end of 2024.
So we've still got time.
Yes.
We have time.
Yep.
And you have other remaining allocation dollars that we need to have further discussion about also. So.
Right. And at this point, this was at our bequest, it was the coroner's request to us when we met, that she needed to have this additional capacity. So that's
Yes.
really the question is, okay, what are the alternatives? In which case, we do have a budget hearing scheduled here. It would be sometime mid-January, so
Yes.
if she, hopefully she'll be available for that discussion at
Hopefully.
that time.
Hopefully.
Okay.
I will get the tentative budget hearing scheduled to you today for your review.
Okay.
Go from there.
Great.
Cool.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, anybody else? So before we do a motion, we would just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We will not be back on TV till 2024.
Nothing
And
scheduled.
so everybody have a safe and happy holiday season.
Thank you. I'll make a motion, we go into executive session to consider the discipline of a public employee.
Second.
Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. See you next year.